Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
This podcast is brought to you by TeamTrait, a digital solution that helps you hire, optimize, and retain employees. Using psychometric assessments to identify more than 100 professional mindset traits, it gives instant reports you can use to build high-performing teams. Get 2 free profiles today, no commitment, no credit card required, at teamtrait.com. TeamTrait.com. Welcome to the Manage Smarter podcast with hosts C. Lee Smith and Audrey Strong. We're glad you're here for discussions on new ways to manage smarter, hire, develop, and retain talent, improve results, and propel team performance to new heights. This is the Manage Smarter podcast.
One of the topics we've never explored on this show is neurodivergent employees, people with neurodiversity. And I've looked up, Googled, all right. Never substitute Google for a doctor, which is exactly what I did, Lee.
But we do have a doctor, though.
We do have a doctor to give us the correct definition of
Yes.
neurodivergent employee. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. And, Lee, that's our topic today.
Well, as being one of those employees, during my career, I can tell you, though, that to be successful in business, you have to be different. And so the thing is that sometimes as managers and leaders, we shun people that are different, that don't fit into our system. And the type of people we're talking about today are people that, well, don't necessarily have a lot of respect for systems or successful and operate in systems. And the type of people I'm thinking about the Steve Jobs of the world who coined the phrase, think different, for Apple Computer, for example. You think about Elon Musk, and regardless of, some of the crazy shit these people say or whatever that you may or may not agree with and everything like that, there is a track record, though, of doing things against the norm, against the grain and everything like that, that change society and everything like that. So imagine if these people, and quite frankly, there is a history, though, in their life history of managers and leaders who basically tried to keep them in line and, get them to toe the line and everything like that. What would have happened, if those managers and those leaders would have been successful in somehow taming that bucking bronco, and we wouldn't have the smartphones that we have today, or the rocket ships that we have, or the electric cars, and all kinds of other examples like that. So, if you get the privilege of hiring and managing a neurodiverse employee or something like that, it's a challenge because we can be pains in the asses. But on the other hand, though, if you handle it the right way, lots of great benefits come your way. So anyway, that's the premise for the conversation today.
And this is Manage Smarter, everyone. My name is Audrey Strong. I'm the Senior Vice President of Communications here at Sales Fuel.
And I'm C. Lee Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Sales Fuel.
Okay, and I'm sure you've heard this joke before. The doctor is in, Dr. Matt Zakreski, a clinical psychologist, professional speaker, and consultant who specializes in working with neurodivergent people. In addition to his work as a very energetic speaker, go watch his videos, y'all. Dr. Zakreski maintains a private practice at the Neurodiversity Collective. Welcome, Dr. Zakreski. So what's the definition of a neurodivergent person?
So a neurodivergent person is somebody who has a different brain. And we know about 20% of people are neurodivergent. So there's a ever-evolving list of things as we learn more about the brain that falls under that umbrella. But sort of the big ones we see are ADHD, giftedness, autism, dyslexia, dysgraphia, OCD. These are people that we can look at brain scans and say, look, this is the part or parts of your brain that are physically and operationally different, which means that the way you show up in the world is different because our brains dictate how we show up.
What's fascinating about that number, too, is that while 16 to 20% of the world's population, are unconventional, if you will, double that are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about the entrepreneurial brain, right?
Well, and you said before bucking bronco, right? And it's such an evocative image. And you think about it. When do you want a bronco to be bucking, right? You want it in a very specific space. You don't want the bucking bronco wrangling up the cattle. You don't want the bucking bronco if you've got to ride into town. You want the bronco to be bucking in the rodeo arena, right? So like if you have someone who has a specific skill set, amplify the environments in which that person can use that skill set. Because then you've trained a bucking bronco to take you to the grocery store and you keep wondering why you break your eggs.
So what is your definition of amplifying the environment? So I'm a manager listening to the show right now. What does that mean in real terms? Like, what do I do? What should I be doing? Give like an example.
So when my first job out of college, I worked for EF Educational Tours up in Boston. Terrific job for your early 20s. There was a bar in our office, and it was the kind of place where they'd be like, hey, anybody want to go to Greece this week? And I'm like, I'm 23 and single. Yes, I will go to Greece to get paid to go there. Yes, please. Right. But I was not a great salesman at first. I had to figure out my way of doing sales, right? And what they found is they're like, wow, you make more phone calls than anybody else. You send more emails than anybody else. I'm like, right, because I'm all about efficiency. I'm like, I'm not going to spend 45 minutes trying to track down somebody who's like a code blue on our sales list thing. I'm going to send them an email like, yo, are you even still interested? And they say, no, great, click, delete the account, we'll move on with our lives, right? I was like culling these bad leads. And at first they were like, oh, I don't like that. But they're like, oh, wait, you are saving your time to spend more time on the stuff that matters. That's where I show up. And then my sales strategy was much more relational. I built relationships. I got to know people. And because my numbers were so good, they put me on their like super turnaround fast sales team. They're like, well, your numbers are great. And I bombed, like to the point where like, they were like, where you keep these numbers up, son, you're not getting to work here anymore. I was like, but then they put me on the advanced sales team, people who were planning a trip, not a year in advance, but 2 years in advance. That gave me so much time to build those relationships and to get them along and send them resources. And I was crushing. I was setting these incredible numbers. So it's like, was I a good salesman? Sure. But was I a better salesman in certain environments than other ones? The data bear that out, right? You couldn't throw me on the quick turnaround sales team. I just didn't really have that skill set. But playing to my strengths helped me blow the lid off my goals and make me and the company a bunch of money.
Let's talk about some specific environments, where these types of people can thrive. So immediately, new product development comes to mind. Any new business team, any team that requires crowdsourcing, brainstorming, everything like that, to figure out how to do something differently because it's right up their alley. Okay, we think differently. So, what kind of other things, environments come to mind for you?
So you mean some people do really well client facing, right? They get that energy that they're abstracting, they're turning data into new ideas, not just sort of recycling the thing, right? I'm always better at client facing stuff, right? I hire people internally to do the internal things. Like I have an accountant, I have a lawyer, I have a assistant. They run the internal stuff.
The stuff we don't like to do. There you go.
No, right? And I'm telling you, because now I'm not spending hours doing stuff I hate, which drains me and makes it harder for me to stuff I'm actually good at, right? It's spending money wisely, right? And so a way to think about this, and you can absolutely apply this to the business world, is think of your office like you're planning a theme party, right? So Lee, help me out. What's a theme we should do for our theme party?
Pirates.
Sure, pirates. That's great.
So, I don't know why that's the first thing that came into my head. You can analyze me later.
We need to
offline
explore
on
that,
that
Audrey. Yeah.
what makes you think of these pirates?
The Russian psychologist, very nice.
Sometimes cliches are good cliches for a reason. So Yar, we're going to do a fine theme party, right? So Lee, if we were doing a theme party, what would you want to do for that party?
Oh my goodness. Well, of course we have to have costumes, right?
Right?
We have to have decorations, right?
Yeah.
And we
Maybe
have
like
to have
a picnic or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, so you're thinking costumes, you're thinking decorations. Audrey, what would you want to do for our pirate theme party?
Well, could we go on a boat, like do a charter excursion on a lake?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're seeing here, even in this simple exercise, is you both organically play to your interests and your strengths, right? Like you're thinking about venues, you're thinking about decorations. We need both of those things to do a party. But the way that many workplaces function is it's like we're trying to plan this theme party, and Lee's in there being like, oh, I want to do decorations. I'm like, tough, bro. You're on recycling duty because I've arbitrarily decided you're doing recycling duty, right? And you wonder why people feel disengaged, right? When you ask people what they want to do, what they feel comfortable with, what they're motivated by, you may not be able to put them in those situations all the time, but you can point the pirate ship, to further the metaphor, in that cardinal direction, right? Yes, right now you've got to spend some time doing some stuff you don't like, but the more you move along your career, we're going to turn up the volume on the stuff you want to do and turn down the volume on the stuff that drains you. And whether that's giving you a promotion or hiring you an assistant, what we're doing is we're making the best damn theme party we can because we're understanding that people come to the theme party with different strengths and interests.
So I had an opportunity to speak to iconic management guru Clay Christensen when he was alive. He tells a great story, and we don't have time to go into the story, but the nuts and bolts of the story can be boiled down to this. And he said, never hire a banana to do a milkshake's job.
That's perfect. I mean, that's exactly it. And if you and one of the things that, to take that even a step further, right? You got to understand, are you hiring a milkshake or are you hiring a banana? Like that's
do you even know?
Right. I mean, like you spend growing up, my grandfather was a carpenter. And he always told me, measure twice, cut once.
Right.
An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. And I'm 10. I'm like, I have a bandsaw.
Let's go.
Where did you get that? Please put that down. So it's like, but now the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, there was a lot of wisdom there. Like, and it's so take that moment to think, what am I hiring for? How does this align with my personal values and our professional goals? Right. And you might find a great asset who isn't a great fit. You find a great banana when you were looking for a milkshake. So instead of trying to cram the banana into the milkshake, you say, okay, hold on a second, right? We always need great bananas. How do I get this banana into here while I continue looking for the milkshake? Right?
And don't make it a banana milkshake.
That's cheating.
Right? It's cheating. You lose the integrity of the banana.
Right.
The milkshake.
That's good non-linear thinking, Lee.
Well, that's what I do.
We're like bouncing all over the place here. We look like a seismograph. Like
we went from pirates to bananas to milkshakes to.
But Lee's a big proponent of somebody maybe better suited for another role within the same organization's a totally different department and move them sideways.
Yeah.
Or I will change the job functions and responsibilities into better fit than what that person likes to do, what that person is naturally good at. And one of the things that I see, Dr. Matt, is that when I've worked with a lot of companies, 3 of them just recently on that, and they want to to measure people that are lookalikes, the successful people where for this particular job. So we asked them, send us over a copy of the job posting. Okay, now give us 3 to 5 people, whatever, who are the most successful people in this role within your company. And invariably, the traits of these 3 to 5 people that makes them great, those traits do not show up anywhere in the job description. What you get in a job posting is very vanilla, same stuff that every company puts out there, and like that. And so they're attracting those types of people, but the type of people that thrive in that position in their company are sometimes very different people. So it's like, how can we get some of these companies or whatever to think differently about who they're trying to attract and recruit then to be successful in their organization?
Well, and we're seeing this rise of neurodivergent affirming hiring practices. There are companies that are stepping into that space. It's like, listen, we are staffed by autistic people. We are going to hire autistic people. We are people who speak neurodivergent, and we're going to put you through those paces, because the hiring process is built by neurotypical people for neurotypical people.
Right.
Right. You think about it, you got to wear a suit and tie, or or a pantsuit, or
we do things a certain way around here.
Right.
And you must fit in.
Yeah, or else, right?
Yes.
And it's amazing because a lot of times we don't know our biases until they're challenged. If somebody showed up in a nice t-shirt and a pair of slacks and a pair of really cool shoes, you might think this person is not dressed for this interview. Unless you said you have to wear a shirt and tie, they're not necessarily breaking the rule, they're breaking the implied rule. And since neurodivergent people tend to do poorly with implied rules, you set them up to fail, right? And they might be the best man for the job, but because they didn't buy a $3 tie at Neiman Marcus, they don't get to play in your sandbox. Come on, that's ridiculous. And what a lot of companies are doing now, especially to attract neurodivergent talent, is to lead with interest and be like, hey, are you passionate about cybersecurity? Are you super into comic books? Do you love publishing? If you have that interest, come to us and we'll find you a job based on your skill set within that thing, rather than, I need an accountant. And somebody's like, well, I'm an accountant. Like, oh, great. You're an accountant for Boeing. It's like, I don't like those sort of things. I want to be an accountant for a small bookstore or a pet shop or something like that, right? So
insert Boeing joke here. You're all thinking it. You're all thinking it. Just do it.
Oh, come on. That joke's going to crash.
Oh. Wow.
It'll blow the doors off.
Oh, the doors. You guys are both going straight to hell. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean,
on the express route too.
But that's interesting. So writing your job description that way, but does that sometimes that comes up against a company culture and a culture of very hardcore KPIs to which there is no bending or accommodation or open-mindedness whatsoever. So how do you reconcile those two things?
I mean, honestly, to those companies, I would say adapt or die, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's so I'll think about it in a less white collar job, right?
Okay.
So one of the clients I work with, he just got a job working at a restaurant, right? And he's going to be great at it. He's a super personable guy, right? He likes people. He's good with people. And the first thing they had him do was doing mise en place in the kitchen, chopping veggies, right, making stuff. And he's like, I made it about 17 minutes into my first shift. I went outside. He's like, I smoked my first cigarette in 3 years. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? And the guy who happened to hire him happened to walk by. He's like, you're not supposed to be in the kitchen. He's like, well, that's where my manager told me to go. They brought him on the floor. They gave him a shirt. They trained him as a server. And he's already working Friday night doubles. I mean, and if you have any history in the restaurant industry, Friday night doubles, I mean, that's the plum seat at the table, right? And this is 10 days later. I mean, he's a rocket ship, right? So the idea here is that if you want to attract the best talent, to Lee's point, a lot of times the best talent is atypical. And instead of trying to, the atypicalness attracts you, and then you were like, okay, well, now we're going to jam that square peg through a round hole. Like, no, you build a square hole for the square peg and let them do what they're going to do and continue looking for round pegs for round holes somewhere else, right?
And you know who's good at hiring atypical people? Atypical bosses, because it looks normal to us.
Yeah. You should see my team at NDC. It's like we're just a whole bunch of atypical humans, but we're great at what we do because we lead with the aspects of ourselves that are authentically different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these days, a lot of people are slapping the word neurodiversity on something and saying that they know it, but neurodivergent people are, and I say this all the time, they're allergic to bullshit, right?
Mhm.
We can smell a fraud from a mile away. So if I'm sitting down for an interview with you, Audrey, and it's like, and you're like, yes, I'm very interested in hiring neurodivergent people. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I'm not going to finish that interview, right? So this is a population where you have to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to be able to walk the walk in addition to talking the talk. And that's where people like me come in because I can give you the skills and practices that help you create that runway, right? Because it's not just enough to slap it on your website, right? Oh, we have an ERG, guys. Cool. How are you supporting the ERG from a business perspective? They're like, oh, we just sort of thought that they would do their own thing. Like, that's not good enough anymore, guys. Neurodiversity is the next wave of DEI work, right? And it's
a
not
diversity of thought.
exactly, right? That's what moves companies forward, ideas forward, products forward, right? Because, like I said before, it's adapt or die, right? The evolution of human thought and human brains is walking through your door. Can you accommodate them?
Right.
And as a manager and a leader, it's like, I'll put this in Lee speak, which is basically pull that stick out of your ass. Okay. I mean,
It's a technical term.
So many different ways to do this. Yeah. Dr. Matt, we've got about a minute left. I know you've got the neurodiversitycollective.com as your website for therapy, and drmattzakreski.com is for your speaking bookings. And you have a book coming out this fall.
Yeah.
I do.
You want to talk about that?
I was working on it as I was getting ready to talk to you guys today.
Great.
So it's called the Neurodivergent Playbook, Cracking the Code of Surviving a World That Was Not Built for You. 80% of the world is neurotypical. They built systems and structures that support their brains, not for any ill intent, right? Just because, think about it. If you're hosting a dinner party and most people eat steak, you're probably going to make steak and you'll make something different for the one person who's a vegan, right? That's how most people operate. What we're learning now is that, to navigate those dinner parties, you've got to have the skills to go to the table, know what to bring, know what to dress, all that stuff. And if the world is built not for you, that lack of information can make attending those events feel impossible. So I'm trying to lay it out there, name the unspoken things, give people skills and structures to be able to navigate those moments. And it's I think it's going to be really meaningful. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm working with a great publisher team, and they're excited, and if they're excited, I'm excited. So
we're excited for you. Lee's written 2 books, and I know that was an exciting time too. So
yeah, I'm working on a 3rd and a 4th. So yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
Well, congratulations on the book. Want to get a copy of it when it comes out this fall. Do you have a month when it's coming out?
So this fall,
in a perfect world.
This fall we're pushing it because this fall I'm doing 4 different big speaking events. I'm keynoting at the Alabama Gifted Association, the Tennessee Gifted Association, the Illinois Gifted Association, and then I'm a featured speaker at the Indiana Gifted Association. So as I told my editor, I'm like, that's my book tour.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. Like, just bring me with a box of books and give me a table after my keynote, and we'll be able to give people the sort of the pocket Dr. Matt to take with them. Like, hold on a second, there's a section here on managing my emotions. Flip, 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 flip. That's what I do. Cool. Flip the book pros, and you just take it out into the world. So, it's pretty awesome, and I'm really excited by it.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about, and it's been a great conversation. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us today.
Lee, you're doing lots of things with your hand.
Well, so Audrey and I are doing this thing now where she knows when she tries to wrap the podcast, I always ask one last question.
Mhm.
So I'm spooling up in the one last question, which is, let's say you're a manager and you're a leader, but you're working with a neurodivergent person, wherever that uses it as an excuse. Oh, it's my ADD. Oh, it's something like that. That's why I didn't meet the deadline. That's why I didn't get this job done, or that's why I got called into HR. It's like, so what advice would you give to managers and leaders or whatever have to deal with somebody that uses their neurodivergence as an excuse rather than as a catalyst?
Right. And I love that you brought that up because neurodivergence is not a superpower, right? It comes with strengths and weaknesses. Having ADHD absolutely made me a better stand-up comedian when I did stand-up. It absolutely makes it harder to be a father sometimes. Right? But I tell my clients, both individual and consulting clients, neurodivergence is always context. It's never an excuse, right? So if you have someone with ADHD who's running late on a deadline, we need to think about how we're going to set up that next work iteration to help them hit a deadline. Does that mean we give them more runtime? Does that mean that we give them more infrastructure support? Does that mean we check in with them more often? We can learn from this issue, right? But saying I have ADHD, so I can't do it is never good enough, right? And I'm saying that as someone with ADHD, right? Yeah, there are times that deadlines are absolutely biting me in the butt, right? Mm-hmm. But when those conversations go from those conversations tend to evoke someone being furious with you. I always tell the grown-ups involved, don't be furious, be curious. Mm-hmm. Right? So instead of, you damn well should have met that goal. Yeah, we know. And they know. What kept you from hitting the goal? That's being curious. What got in your way? Because then it assumes competence, it assumes wanting to do well, and then we explore the stuff. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Honestly, my fantasy football draft was in the middle of this whole thing. I spent way too much time on that, and I'll own that stuff. And like, yeah, right? That's not always going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's a point of professional development. You got to be able to manage that stuff. And now that we've learned from it, we can do better next time. So yeah, so it's always a context. It's never an excuse.
Pair up with somebody then who does think in normal terms, it does think in systems and structures and everything like that to help so that they can be an accountability partner for you. It's like mine is named Amanda. So,
give me the body doubling, give me the accountability partners. It's
follow you around all day.
Yeah.
Well, companies that have like multiple global offices will body double people in the London office and the Tokyo office, right? So they're doing the same thing at different times, which means they can cross-pollinate if they need to. But if nothing else, they've got the Zoom window out. It's like, hey, how you doing? No, I'm good. Yeah, we're good. That's how you use the infrastructure you have to support the people you've got. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make sure you're utilizing everything in the best possible way.
Well, it's Dr. Matt Zakreski, and it's Zakreski, everybody. That's how you spell it. Thank you so much. Great advice.
Thank you. It was awesome being here.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at salesfuel.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.